Sante sign awarded. Now, as we say here in Harambe, folks, Twin Day, which means let's go. Well, Jumbo everyone, and good morning. My name is Samantha, and I'm going to be your safari guide here today on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. A couple of friendly safety reminders before we do enter into the reserve. Please be sure to remain seated at all times. Keep those arms, hands, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times as well. If you have any children sitting on your lap, make sure that they remain seated on your lap and your lap only. Please do not hold them up in the air or pass them around at any time. Now we're going to be entering into the homes of these animals, so we want to be very respectful towards them. So please keep those conversations and voices to a minimum, and please do not call out towards the animals to try to grab their attention. Now over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see some bongos. Now bongos, they get the nickname Ghost of the Forest because of how shy and reclusive they are, and they blend very well with the trees. They almost look invisible sometimes. Animals of the forest have natural colors and markings to help them blend in with the background. That way they keep away from dangers such as predators and poachers. On the right hand side, I did see an okapi. It's kind of walking around. It's walking this way right now. It's right in the back over there. The okapi looks like it might be related to the zebra, looking at its hind legs, but it's actually not. It's related to the giraffe. They have the same skeleton, except theirs is a lot smaller, as well as a very long prehensile tongue to grab those leaves off the trees. The okapi was actually not discovered by the Western world up until 1901. Before then, we thought they were just part of African folklore. Now over here on the right hand side, you actually see some greater kudu. They're lying down right there. You kind of see their ears. Also the saddle-billed stork over there as well. Gets its name because it kind of looks like it has a little yellow saddle on its bill. The greater kudu, the ones that were lying down, those are actually one of the tallest. They're the second tallest antelope at 55 inches at the shoulders. To the left is a black rhino. Way off into the back, you can see the black rhino, and it kind of looks like a smooth rock. The black rhino is one of the smaller rhinos we have here on the reserve. They weigh around 3,000 pounds. Unfortunately, there are less than 5,000 of them left in the world, and this is because they are being hunted and poached for those horns. Many regions believe if you consume rhino horn, it can give you special abilities, but this is not true at all. Now, rhino horn is just made of the same material as our hair and fingernails called keratin, so we have absolutely no use for rhino horn. We're going to go ahead and leave the little Terry Forest and head towards the Safi River. I heard there was hippo activity at the Safi River, so let's see if we find those hippos. Now hippos are actually nocturnal animals, so they spend their days sleeping, usually in water. At night they'll come out to graze for that grass. But it does look like we are in luck. It looks like some hippos have found it to be nice and cool enough out just to sunbathe for a bit. Now hippos usually spend their days in the waters because here in Africa it gets quite hot, and then at night it's a lot cooler and even safer to go out and to find new food. Usually hippos will actually travel hundreds of miles to find new food source. Once the sun starts to come back up, they'll travel back to their homes and they'll stay in the water for the day. They're known to be one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. Well, that is because they are extremely territorial, but they just try to protect their homes and families. Hippos are rather large animals, weighing up to 3,000 pounds. Now, even though they're incredibly large, they can outrun a human on land, and they only eat about 80 pounds of food a day, which is a very small amount considering their body size. The pelicans you see on the islands there, those are the pink-back pelicans. Pink-back pelicans get their name from the pink feathers they get on their backs during mating season. They're actually the smallest of the pelican species. They have about a 6-foot wingspan. Now be cautious as we do cross this bridge. This bridge is known as Croc Bridge. As you look to the left are Nile crocodiles there. Nile crocodiles are cold-blooded animals, which means they don't have sweat glands to cool them off. So in order for them to cool off, they'll either jump into the water or leave their mouths open. Now speaking of their mouths, their jaws are actually 2,000 pounds strong. Per square inch, they can crush their bone. Even though they have these incredibly strong jaws, both mom and dad Nile crocodile will actually hold their eggs in their mouth to encourage their little ones to hatch. Now we're going to head to an entirely different ecosystem, the savanna grasslands, home to some of the most famous animals such as elephants, lions, and giraffes. Now coming up on the right hand side, you're going to see a very large tree. This is the baobab tree, also known as the upside down tree. It kind of looks like the roots are on the top there, but those are not its roots. It just remains leafless 9 months out of the year. It does that to maintain as much water as it can in those very large trunks. And during times of drought, animals will actually poke holes into it and drink some of that water, saving them from dehydration. And that's why it's important that we have baobab trees in the savannah. See some animals out here. May have to travel a little bit further into the savannah to find some more. But coming up on the right hand side, there are some giraffes, but also some zebras. These are actually one of the smallest of the zebra species. These are the Herman's mountain zebras. Now the reason why we can tell they're Herman's mountain zebras is by how small they are. They are the smallest, as well as their very small hooves. They're smaller than most, as because they do need to climb those mountains. Also, another way to tell that the Herman mountain zebra is by the extra skin that they kind of have underneath their neck. It's called a dewlap. It's actually going to help circulate blood flow through it to help cool them off. To the right hand side, the very large horned animal you see right there, that is the Ankole cattle. That's the only domesticated animal we have here in the reserve. Now they first were domesticated by the Watusi tribe, which is why they're also called Watusi cattle. Their horns may look incredibly heavy, but they're not. They're hollow on the inside with a honeycomb structure of blood vessels in them to help keep them cool. To the left-hand side, there are African wild dogs, also known as the painted dogs. African wild dogs are actually one of the most successful predators in Africa. They are more successful than most large cats. 90% of the time, they will capture their prey. And the way they capture their prey is actually by chasing after it up until it collapses in complete exhaustion. And they work together as a team to achieve that. They're also good family members to one another, feeding their young, elderly, and sick before they feed themselves, because they always know they can go out and hunt for more food. To the left, if you look in the back there, next to the giraffe, you can see those thin-horned animals. Those are the sable antelope. They're actually the emblem of this reserve, and unlike most animals of prey, they actually will fight back instead of running away. Now these very large orange cone-like structures you see are termite mounds.